These are the top 6 things that we are thankful for as Mets fans. Number one, let's just start all the way up, basically at the top of the organization. The whole front office, starting with Alex Cohen, Steve Cohen, and David Stearns.
There are 29 other fan bases that do not have Steve and Alex Cohen as their owners, and they are all very jealous of the New York Mets and the New York Mets fans.
Carlos Mendoza's first year as a Mets manager. You couldn't ask for anything more. In our eyes, should have been manager of the year.
Special guy. He gets the young player. He gets the veteran player. Like you mentioned, pushing the right buttons all season long. We've talked about it many times here on the podcast as well.
Francisco Lindor's entire 2024 campaign, I am so thankful for as a Mets fan, as a Mets podcast host, as everything in between.
I just felt like this year, he ascended in a way, on the field, off the field, leadership.
Mark Vientos's 2024 playoff run.
The way that it all unfolded was such a storybook, situation where he doesn't make the team out of camp. You guys know the story. The Mets signed JD Martinez. Mark gets option to AAA Syracuse. He keeps raking like he does.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for meeting us at the Apple. I'm Vito Calisi. That's Jonathan Barron. You can follow us on Twitter at Vito F. Calisi, at JMV9191. You might be wondering why I'm in a turkey costume.
I don't think anyone's wondering.
I was about to say, you're probably not wondering because it is the Thanksgiving episode.
Here's a take. Turkey, by far, worst of the birds.
That's not what's funny? Every year people on Thanksgiving are like, hot take, turkey sucks.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the birds that are better. Chicken, much better than turkey. Duck, way much better than turkey. Baltimore Orioles. Anyway, let's get into it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. So we wanted to do an episode about the things we are thankful for. So these are the top 6 things that we are thankful for as Mets fans to the New York Mets. Number one, let's just start all the way up, basically at the top of the organization. The whole front office, starting with Alex Cohen, Steve Cohen, and David Stearns. Just these people who make the organization what it is and stop at no expense and stop at nothing to make this the best ballpark experience, whether it be on the field or off the field.
There are 29 other fan bases that do not have Steve and Alex Cohen as their owners, and they are all very jealous of the New York Mets and the New York Mets fans. And then Steve Cohen was patient. He waited, and he got his guy David Stearns in year one, as we've talked about numerous times right here on Meet at the Apple. He had an incredible year one, already working towards a great year two. There was a little move made that caught my attention, a lot of Mets fans' attention. Joey Meneses, who in 2022, fun little story, he made his major league debut the day that the Nationals traded Juan Soto to the Padres. There was an opening there. It was against the Mets, as a matter of fact. He homered in that major league debut. He had a great 2022 season, a pretty solid 23. Struggled in 2024. He's tearing it up right now in the Mexican Winter League, and the Mets signed him to a minor league contract. So it's another one of those smart, shrewd moves that David Stearns has made so often throughout. You're laughing because you're feeling weird in that turkey costume. I'm trying to be serious here as I look right into your...
Who's it weirder for? The person wearing the turkey costume or the person speaking with like total earnest? Well, I noticed you keep switching eye contact from me to the turkey.
Yeah, well, it's just not the normal look, but it's okay. We carry on. I was going to ask you to gobble, so thank you. Thank you. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But yeah, no, this front office, the commitment to winning, the commitment to excellence, the care, the listening, the communication with fans, the transparency, all of it. It's so great. We're all so lucky. We're so thankful. I would go even further. I'd say in all of sports.
Yeah.
This is the best ownership group in all of sports. It feels nice.
I would say I only have one problem with the Cohens. They gave out a lot of turkeys for Thanksgiving. Those are my cousins and brothers and sisters.
Damn. When did they do the thing where they
handed out a bunch of pardon the turkey?
Yeah. Did that turkey
I think that happens on Thanksgiving. I think it happens on Thanksgiving.
I think it's before.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Do you watch the parade?
I love the parade.
You're a Macy's parade?
I love the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade.
Yeah?
Yeah. They're toning down. They're not doing as many Broadway performances this year. A lot of people are upset about it.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember one year it was too windy. They had to put a stop to the balloons, which is like, then why do you even do a parade?
No, they didn't put a stop to them. I think they just like put them lower than usual.
I thought that they just like couldn't use them
or
at
maybe
all.
There's some they couldn't do. I grew up in the city, and one thing you do when you grow up in the Upper West Side, they inflate the balloons overnight starting on Wednesday, and then you go walk over on Central Park West and you go look at the balloons like the night before.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, like every year, me and my mom used to go, and then we would go eat like pizza after. It was like one of my favorite memories.
There better be a Wicked performance. at the parade.
That's not how it works, dude.
Why not?
It's like new plays. They're not gonna do.
Nah, there's got to be a wicked performance, guys. I saw a movie. I went to the movies.
Johnny movies.
We got to get back on track. This is way off track. I'll talk about the movies maybe at the very end.
All right, let's move on. Second thing, we're gonna keep moving on in this. Positions of power, positions that matter to the Mets organization.
Yeah.
Carlos Mendoza's first year as a Mets manager. You couldn't ask for anything more. In our eyes, should have been manager of the year.
Writers screwed up big
Congrats to
time.
Pat Murphy. You did a great job, but Carlos Mendoza, nobody else did what he was able to do this year. Take a team from 11 games under 500, go all the way to the NLCS. Take a team that was 0-5, go all the way to the NLCS. Work with this team he had, did such an amazing job. Really, we saw a year, the way he worked with these pitchers, the way that he had conversations with them on the mound, trusted them to go back out there and play. He's the kind of guy that free agents look at when you're deciding if you want to go be with a certain team. He's the kind of manager you look at and you go, this is a guy I want to play for.
Special guy. He gets the young player. He gets the veteran player. Like you mentioned, pushing the right buttons all season long. We've talked about it many times here on the podcast as well. I read something that the Yankees actually took credit for developing Carlos Mendoza into the manager that he is. I mean, look, he is a great manager, and he definitely learned a lot during his time in the Yankee system. So thank you, New York Yankees, for that. But like you mentioned, if a guy is on the fence and he's talking and getting to know the organization, what might it be like the day-to-day? Because you're with your baseball family for 180 days. That's assuming you don't. That's just the regular season. That's not even counting pitchers and catchers, all of spring training, 30 days essentially of spring training games, then going north, playing a season, then possibly playing a deep October run. It's very important to get along with the people and enjoy, this is a job for baseball players, right? They go to work. Showing up at the ballpark is going to work. It's nice when you could enjoy being around your coworkers. Like, I know I feel this way, you feel this way. I enjoy going to work.
I love it here.
It's great. Like, I wasn't even supposed to come in today, and I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in. Why not? Like, I got nothing better to do.
Yeah. You texted me, and I was like,
we weren't going to do this episode.
No, I said StreamYard. I said we could have done it online.
I was like, hey, I'm in.
But we haven't done a StreamYard one since the season ended.
I don't know where my microphone is, so.
That's not good. You should find that.
I know.
One more thing about Mendoza that I want to bring up. Ron Darling was on Jay Horowitz's podcast this week. You can go listen to it. And he said something about Carlos Mendoza that I really loved. He was like, obviously they all meet with the manager before a game. Yeah. And he was like, Carlos Mendoza speaks so eloquently and so well. He was like, you go in there, and he was like, even if you question the guy on a move you didn't think was the right move the day before, he was like, by the time you leave Carlos Mendoza's office, you're like, he's right. Every single move he made yesterday was the truth. Like, that's how good of a manager Carlos Mendoza is. And this isn't like, and I'm not saying that like just normal play-by-play guys who didn't play the game before don't. I'm just saying like this is a guy who was on a championship Mets team.
Played for Davey Johnson.
Played for one of the best managers in this team's history. And he's saying that he listens to Carlos Mendoza and goes, every move that guy makes is right after you listen to him.
100%. And he answers questions, like you said, accountability is key.
So honest. Like,
honest.
Everything he says, like, it doesn't feel like it's being fed to him. It doesn't feel like it's not what he truly means. Like, everything he says is really from the heart, it feels.
Even sitting in the very seat that you're sitting in, although he never put on a turkey costume,
Maybe
he sat in that seat, and he was honest. There were questions that we asked of him that we weren't sure how they would go over. Would he give us a real answer? And every single time he did, especially the tough questions. I remember when the Mets came back from Seattle. They got swept that weekend series, probably in a way rock bottom-ish. I know 11 games under was rock bottom, but like people were really starting to give up on hope at that point in time. And he came back, he answered every question, and like there was never a second of like, I don't want to say doubt necessarily, but there was never a second of, this might really be going off the rails. It was, we're back home, we're going to get back on track here, and we're going to be just fine. And it was true. And what the Mets did this season, it wouldn't have been possible without him at the helm. He is the prototypical new era manager. He's going to be here for a very, very long time. Like you mentioned, Pat Murphy wins manager of the year. I get it. And there's a narrative that goes there. Craig Counsell leaves, the big sexy manager name. He goes to the rival Cubs. And Pat Murphy, who had been a baseball lifer, Arizona State coach for many years, bench coach with the Brewers, small market team, not a big payroll. Expectations weren't high. They win the division. I get that. For me, what kind of pisses me off is Mike Schilt finishing second over Mendy. I don't understand that whatsoever.
Ridiculous.
That's a star-studded team. I know they traded away Juan Soto, but they still have a lot of other star power. I just didn't get that one at all. I mean, I know it's arguing about like second versus third, but
I didn't get any of it. I mean, like outside of just being a fan of the Mets and like getting to know Carlos, like it just it's hard for me to see somebody who really did earn that over him. When you look at the storyline of an entire season, and even taking playoffs out of it, taking a guy who needed to win every single game they won to get into the playoffs, going all the way to that insane game 161 and 162.
Yeah. But the thing is, you said, obviously the playoffs don't factor into this award. None of the awards they're all voted for before the playoffs begin. Carlos and his team advanced further than the Brewers, obviously, and they advanced further than the Padres. So when it mattered, Carlos was the winner over those two guys. But we hadn't really, talked about the manager of the year voting. So, we
needed time to cool down.
It kind of ate at me a little bit that Shilton, it's nothing against Mike Shildt. He did a great job with the Padres, too. A very good team whenever the Mets and Padres met this year, especially that 4-gamer out in San Diego. Crazy tight battles. But I didn't understand Mendy not being number 2 in the voting. So regardless, an incredible year. I think that you can make an argument this was the best single season managerial job in Met history. I know you'll probably point to a Gil Hodges, and I get that, the Miracle Mets in 73 with Yogi, and then obviously Davey Johnson, 86.
Maybe that's a live stream episode. Maybe that's a topic to bring up on live stream.
Low key, this is one of the best performances by a Mets manager in team history. It could be. I mean, there's great ones. Terry Collins, 2015.
Yeah.
Terry Collins, 2016. Bobby Valentine, 99, 2000. But it makes you think, right? That's what we do here at Meet at the Apple. We make you think.
We think. All right.
What do you think the next one is?
The next thing in our list of things we're thankful for this year, you can't have a great team without a great manager. You can't have a great manager without a great leader. And that leader was Francisco Lindor this year. And Francisco Lindor's entire 2024 campaign, I am so thankful for as a Mets fan, as a Mets podcast host, as everything in between, because watching Francisco Lindor, not only on field, the home runs, like the home run in you know what home run we didn't talk about a few weeks ago that blew my mind? The San Diego home run. The San Diego home run, like, just completely somehow left our minds. And I remember watching it in a restaurant screaming at that one, because that was in that period where they needed to go on that trip and they needed to win a bunch of games.
Talking about the Grand Slam?
The Grand Slam, of course. And not just on the field, but also Francisco Lindor. And like we talked about before, that connection with the fans this year. I don't know, have we ever seen something like that as Mets fans? Like the My Girl moments this year, that's the most unique thing I've seen this team do, outside of, I guess the closest thing would be like the Jose chants.
Yeah, so I look at this year, now that, it's been a month since we've last played a playoff game or baseball game here at Citi Field. I think 2024 was the year Francisco Lindor truly became the leader and the pseudo-captain of the Mets. You come here in 2021, you're the new guy. There were other guys here that had been established in Queens longer than him. 2022 was a good year, but still this kind of the same thing. 23 obviously kind of went off the rails early, and there was really no fun at all.
Yeah.
But I just felt like this year he ascended in a way, on the field, off the field, leadership. You remember when he was out of the lineup for the 2 weeks, whatever it was, with the back injury?
Do I remember?
He's sitting in the dugout with the yellow card, the red card. We never got the full story behind that, but helping out with defensive positioning and picking up something he saw from the pitcher, and like we always saw when he would cross home plate on a home run maybe and whisper in his teammates' ear, hey, whatever it is he's saying. He truly became the leader, where the rest of the team leaned on him for his leadership. And I think that the final out of Game 4 of the NLDS was really the crowning moment that really proved what I'm saying, when all the guys in the celebration, usually it's a dog pile on the mound. Now, we understand why there was no dog pile on the mound. Edwin Diaz said stay away. But when have you ever seen the team go to a player that's fielding a position? You've never really seen that. Everyone went to Francisco at shortstop and celebrated with him. Of course, he hit the big grand slam that made the difference in that game, but just all season long.
What about the team photo of him facing the team?
Milwaukee.
When he's facing the team screaming, and it's like everybody looking at him, and everybody's in their blue shirts.
Yes.
And he's the only one wearing a jersey.
Because he had just done the interview. This is his team, and I feel like in 2024, it became his team. In 2024, if you look at WAR, was the best season of his career. He finished with 7 BWAR on the dot. That is the best year of his career, not his 2018 campaign when he hit 38 home runs with Cleveland. He had a couple huge years with Cleveland. This was the best season. He was a stolen base shy of going 30-30 for a second straight year. Obviously, if he didn't get hurt and miss the time that he missed, he would have gotten that. He would have blown past that. He could have gone 35-35 for all we know. Gaudy numbers at shortstop. Just an unbelievable season. And, you look at the future, he's locked up. He's going to be a Met for life. And it's at a really, really fair price compared to, like, if he hit the open market right now, what do you think he would get?
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy numbers. So we're so lucky to have Francisco Lindor. I think that we're going to look back at 2024 as the good old days. You know, this was just a special season by a special player who really took it to the next level in 24.
All right, next, we're going to keep moving in this order. I think this is we have like a good trajectory
nice
right now.
Flow.
It's a really nice flow. And how do we flow from Francisco Lindor? A guy that Francisco Lindor, you brought up him rounding the bases, going and whisper into somebody's ear. A guy that he did whisper into their ear led to a huge moment. Mark Vientos' 2024 playoff run. And like, we shouldn't even really limit it as playoff run. I just didn't want to do two guys like full seasons in a row.
Yeah.
But Mark Vientos' 2024 playoff run was so special. And we saw Mark Vientos cement himself as this is a guy that is going to be a major fixture of this Mets lineup for time to come.
Yeah, so I mean, let's talk about the regular season, because the way that it all unfolded was such a storybook, situation where he doesn't make the team out of camp. You guys know the story. The Mets signed JD Martinez. Mark gets option at AAA Syracuse. He keeps raking like he does. He gets a cup of coffee. He gets a chance. Starling Marte goes on the paternity list. Comes up April 27th. Hits the walk-off home run against Matthew Liberatore. Okay, gets sent down immediately thereafter. But you're thinking to yourself, the Mets actually might have something here. Comes back in mid-May and solidifies himself. Stays. Hits, 28 home runs, I think. Just has an incredible season. Makes great strides defensively, by the way, over at the hot corner, over at third base. And then, like you mentioned, he goes into the postseason, sets the Mets single-season, postseason RBI record. Huge hits left and right. Unfortunately, Game 2 of the LDS against the Phillies at Citizens Bank, it's going to be forgotten a little bit because of the end result of that game, the Phillies winning in walk-off fashion. Sort of like the Endy Chavez catch. It kind of lost its folk hero-ness, but the home run that he hit in the top of the ninth inning against Matt Strahm. That was a crazy game, back and forth. It really felt after the Phillies tacked on in the bottom of the eighth that this one was just over, and it's time to pack it up and enjoy the off day and get ready for a raucous Game 3 at Citi Field. But wait, Mark had one more heroic moment after homering earlier in the game. He delivers that incredible game-tying two-run home run. Now, if the Mets won that game, that's instantly one of the greatest home runs in Mets history.
Yeah.
But he balled out. There's no other way to put it. He works hard. He's in, I think, Nevada right now. I saw him doing squats on Instagram. Like
He's at the F1.
Yeah, that's why he was there. Every day you go on Instagram, you check out Mark's story. He's always putting in that.
Did you see that he got a bigger? So I'm not going to name any names.
Nick Game, right?
Nick Game.
Yeah.
Two players were there, a Mets player and a Yankee player.
Who was the Yankee?
It was Jazz.
Oh, right. He had a sick jacket.
He had a really cool jacket.
Yeah.
It was a custom-made jacket.
I kind of have that. It's not that same jacket, but the one that I'll wear.
Yeah, no, I actually thought of it when I saw it. It's like
half of it is like new and half of it is old. It's sick, but yeah, Jazz's jacket was sick. No, Mark's a star in New York, dude.
They were sitting courtside, and I saw footage from the game when they showed Jazz. Mark Vientos got the bigger pop.
Well, I mean, and this is not a slide on Jazz.
It's
Chisholm.
not. It's just I
was going to say something.
Okay.
Mark's the better player. Mark is a star. And again, it's not a slide against Jazz. He's a very good player, too.
Yeah.
Cover guy of MLB The Show. Like, so much fun to watch. Electric. Mark Vientos is a stud. We talked about it the September 9th episode that came out that Monday.
Also, it just shows how much, like, Mark Vientos his story with Mets fans is much longer.
He is a top flight third baseman in the sport.
But I mean, like, Mets fans have been following this guy. Mets fans have been rooting for him. Like, it's also a different
Drafted
connection.
out of high school.
Exactly. It's a different connection.
100%.
Somebody traded this year during the season versus somebody who, like, Mets fans have seen grow and, like, root for to finally, like, have the success that they did this year. But yeah, like, Mark's been having an offseason, and
he's a cornerstone, and he's only getting better. That's the other exciting thing. Like, there's a little swing and miss in this game. He's working on tightening that up. I saw, in the playoffs, Carlos Beltran standing in the back of the cage, working with him, focusing on shooting the ball to right center field, which we know that he does with power, with authority, more so than a lot of players in this game. He's a problem for other teams. He really is. And I'm so excited to see what 2025 has in store, because now he goes into the offseason knowing that that's his job. He'll show up to spring training, I'm sure.
Still early.
Very early.
Probably one of the first.
Probably one of the first. I'll be dapping him up in the batting cages on February 2nd, there right around that time.
Johnny VNRs.
That's right. And, but he goes into the season knowing that, okay, this is my town. This is my spot. Watch me ball out. Watch me hit 40 homers in 2025.
Ooh, is that your prediction right now? You're going to do that before? Okay.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Now,
but it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock any of us.
I said a few seconds ago that Mets fans have been rooting for Mark Vientos all the way from drafted out of high school all the way up till now. So that leads us to our next thing we're thankful for, and that is the Mets player development system. we have really seen the Mets player development system shine this year with guys called up like Mark Vientos, Luis Angel Acuna at the end of the year coming up and basically helping save the season. The pitching lab having the effects it did on guys like David Peterson, on Luis Severino and Sean Manaea, guys who came here for like a second chance almost and had breakout years. So the Mets player development system, player development is a lot more than just the minor leagues. It's more than developing talent that you've drafted. Player development is, like we said, it's that pitching lab. It's working with guys that you have signed. It's working with everybody on all different levels. Player development isn't just like prep to pro.
No, it's every day. It's taking a guy, finding a guy, harnessing an ability, a skill, and making him great at it, and having success and being better at that one thing than your opposition is, and that's what it's all about. As far as it comes to developing players in the true sense of what we think about when we talk about player development, minor leaguers, Mark Vientos was a win. I know you kind of forget that he was drafted out of high school by the Mets in 2017 as a tall, skinny high schooler. And in 2024, he was a huge part of the Mets making the playoffs and going to the NLCS.
And a published writer now, because he did have that great Players Tribune article.
And a published writer. David Peterson, another guy who the Mets drafted, developed, had a great 2024. Daniel Nunez, one of the keys to the bullpen in 2024 at times. A guy who we've heard good news about his recovery from the injury that knocked him out of the end of the season. Could play a huge role for the Mets bullpen in 2025. Mets player development right there.
Jose Butto,
a guy who made a huge impact for the Mets, signed as an international free agent. Feels like not that long ago. You came to Citi Field in 2021. We did the minor league report in the pregame show. You're hearing about this guy with a funny last name, Butto. All of a sudden, and I love Jose Butto. All of a sudden, he's making a huge impact at Citi Field, out of the bullpen, making starts earlier in the year. Player development. Let's not forget the catcher, Francisco Alvarez.
Yeah.
Player development. So the Mets have done a great job. You need to do well in player development. You cannot only win through free agency and trades. It's not a sustainable way of going about things. You've got to do a good job developing your own and, basically teaching guys to play the Met way. And that's what's going on. The Met way, the Met brand of baseball. You get your hands on these guys, whether it's international free agency, trading for young players, drafting them, scouting them, whatever it might be, teaching them to play your brand of baseball. So by the time they are in Queens, they're ready to win as Mets.
And the future's still bright because there's guys coming up that we've spent so much time talking about, guys like Nick Morabito, who won Player of the Year, who might not have had a great year last year, or 2023, but 2024 just had a breakout season. Jonah Tong, another guy who looked good. Like John, you were on the Jonah Tong train early. I can't say it because it was a curse, but you did say you bangs with Jonah Tong early on, and then this year, breakout year. Blade Tidwell, a guy who's gonna have an impact on this team. Maybe even this next season. We really have no clue, but these are guys that are bubbling up at that next level. Ronald Hernandez, another guy. That was a guy that was traded for. There's just so many names that you need to look up. If you're listening to this podcast right now, make sure you go look up these guys. Go look up their highlights. Look up their minor league highlights.
Marco Vargas, Jeremy Rodriguez, you name it. The Mets did a great job at the deadline in 2023 acquiring talent. Nolan McLean, some of the best stuff in the minor leagues altogether. A guy like Matt Allen, who is healthy now, who, a lot of people have given up on him. He was a big name, drafted in the third round. He was signed away from his Florida State commitment, has had a lot of injury problems. He's still only, 23, 24 years old? He's got a long career ahead of him. So, and the great thing about this is every year there's a new crop of guys that you might not have heard of last year that come up. And, it's good to have a very healthy system, whether you want to utilize those guys yourself or utilize them as assets for trades. Front offices operate differently, but the Mets have done a great job in really not that long of a time of Steve Cohen's ownership, investing in the technology, the scouting, the area scouts, really focusing and beefing up all that goes into player development, and we're seeing the fruits of that labor right now.
All right, so those were our things. Now we open the floor to fans on Twitter and ask them what they were thankful for. So we wanted to take this time to read off some of those tweets, give people shout outs for what they had to say. I'll start off with Joe from Nashville, who tweeted Howie and Keith leading up and through the playoff run. Yeah, I mean, look, the Mets have the best broadcast team, whether it's on TV, whether it's on radio. And when you're at Citi Field in the booth, they'll have the radio on a lot. So I listen to Howie and Keith every home game. Away games, obviously, I'd be listening to SNY because I'd be watching the TV version. But listening to Howie and Keith this year is so much fun. Their dynamic is really special. It's really unique. And it's a joy. And we got to have Howie on the podcast this year. And that was like a crazy experience for the both of us.
Yeah.
But no, Howie and Keith, Gary, Keith, and Ron, everybody, it's sick.
I just saw a TikTok. There was a girl who had the laptop open. She showed the Alonso home run, and she did Howie's call, one of my favorite calls of all time. And she literally nailed every word to a T, the right inflection. She was mouthing it, but it was amazing. So shout out to that content creator. I love that video. Howie's call, and then we saw the video that came out on the team plane, and they played it.
Amazing.
I
teared up from that video.
He struck. It was just so perfect. And the thing is, it's so in the moment. You don't get to plan that. You don't get to script that. Like Joe Davis, when Freddie Freeman hit the grand slam against the Yankees in Game 1 of the World Series, for him to draw the connection to Kirk Gibson, and he with the homage to Vin Scully, she is gone. Another in the moment thing, or Joe Buck paying homage to his dad. We'll see you later tonight, Jack Buck. So those moments are incredible, and that's why these broadcasters are so talented and the incredible broadcasters that they are. And we're so lucky that we have Howie and Keith and Gary and Keith and Ron and, Pat McCarthy and everyone as well. So what are you pointing to? You want me to do the next one?
No, 100%. I mean, we have the best broadcast teams in baseball, radio, TV, doesn't matter. Spanish broadcast booth, everything.
All right, let's check another one here. Chris the teacher. Thankful I got to take my sons to meaningful postseason games. That's awesome. I don't know how old Chris's sons are. But obviously, the son of a diehard Mets fan who...
Let's piggyback that. Dan at behind home plate. I coached my 8-year-old's Little League team, and this was the first Mets season that baseball clicked for him. He went from knowing Mike Piazza, my favorite Met, to knowing most of the roster. Nothing could beat watching the Mets' magical playoff run together. And and then Robert Roman, thankful to my 26 games at Citi Field with my 11-year-old Kai. Highlights were walk-offs by Vientos and Alvarez, Darryl and Doc jersey retirements, being there for an entire 4-game series versus Philly in September, and also Game 3 of the NLDS. And we'll be back in 2025. And he also tweeted photos of him and his son at the game. I was just all these guys who creating memories like you're saying you had with your dad.
Yeah, I mean, I am the son of for my money, the biggest Met fan who ever lived. And, so I know firsthand how special those memories are, and forming that bond and going to the ballpark with your dad. And there's nothing more fun than enjoying Mets triumph with your dad, who, teaches you to love the Mets. I mean, I'll never forget Todd Pratt's walk-off homer. I'm roller skating around in the house, and my dad picked me up, and we went outside, and we were screaming and going crazy. And that's what it's all about. And I think that, to see those 3 tweets, that's a theme, obviously. And that is what it's all about. Being a Met fan is who you get to share it with, and what's so special.
At NYM history, experiencing my first postseason with my dad, Game 5 of the NLCS, the most incredible and electric crowd I've been a part of. I know the series didn't end how we wanted it, but that's a day neither of us will forget. So it's funny. We've seen all these people talking about enjoying it with their kids, and then he's the guy saying, like, I did this with, like, my dad.
Yeah, I remember I went to Game 2 of the LCS in 2015 with my dad. Syndergaard beat the Cubs. I'll never forget that. I was unfortunately at Game 5 of the World Series that year with my dad as well. But again, the family ties and the connections and the memories, it's what you hang on to for the rest of your life, and life is what it is. And, I can assure you guys that you bringing your sons and your daughters, I have a daughter, and I look forward to bringing her to games and teaching her the love that...
She had a great time at the game she went to. We talked about it in the last episode.
Well, she was a little young, but...
She had a good time. I saw her. She was hanging out.
She was.
She had a better than most kids. She was in her own box.
Let's not share the secrets, but... you guys taking your kids to the games, those are memories that they will hold on to forever, and they will one day pass it on to their kids and tell their kids about their first time that you took them to the game. So that's the most important thing, and that's why we love this team so much. That's why we talk about this team. That's why we dedicate so much time and thought and energy and emotion to this team, because we love it and we love the people that we enjoy it with.
There's one more that came out about their kid at a game, and it's from Nick Malamas. This came in late, so it's not on our nice TV screen. But this one is special for me because He tweeted at me, thankful for you giving my son the greatest memory of his life so far and selecting him to throw out a first pitch. He still hasn't stopped talking about it, and I hope he never does. And this was the surprise and delight we did for City Connect.
Vito's just a giver.
No, well, it was crazy because I wish it was just that was a unique experience. That was one of the most fun things I've ever done. But you know it's just this is a special season.
You should just have a Santa Claus costume on, really.
I mean, there's a few weeks away. We'll probably, if this episode does well, we'll keep doing the theme ones. Maybe Valentine's Day is coming up, and we'll be dressed like babies.
Can I dress me up as Cupid?
That was what I said for Valentine's Day.
No,
Dress up as babies.
But you're the one dressing up. I'm wearing my Indiana quarter zip.
The truth is, I had this for something else that you'll see on the Mets social media.
But what's a good costume for me to wear one day?
If it's a holiday, we could do so many things. I mean, we could dress up as reindeers. We could dress up as elves.
I've dressed up before for the show. I just got yelled at for it.
So we could. No, you did something.
I dressed down.
You dressed down, yeah. We could dress that's for Christmas and Hanukkah. We could dress up as reindeers. We could dress up as elves. We could dress up. You could dress up as dreidels.
A menorah.
A menorah is tough because it's going to take up a lot of room. A dreidel feels like it would be easier. It would be, But and then, like I said, New Year's we could also be babies. There's so many things. All right, let's read some more tweets. Mets in the UK. Are Mets coming and surf in London and that double play? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's funny. That's like there's so many debates of when like the Magic started, and that double play is one of the things that people point to. Is like, oh, London series. That's when the Mets like run really got going.
It was coming to a boil, I think, at that point. They had swept the Nationals in DC, then they got on the bus and they flew over. And they lost the first game. They win the second game. It was a start of it. I think every little win mattered. There was a lot of belief that team, I'm sure, felt after winning that game, and especially in that triumphant way. And there's so many great Mets fans on the other side of the pond.
The Belgium fan, the Jeff McNeil fan club.
That's right. I met one from Scotland last week. They were here on a tour. So Mets fandom.
Why do you bring them by?
The schedule was a little wonky that day, so I apologize for that. But Mets fandom is worldwide. It really is, and it's growing still. So
Belgium has Jeff McNeil's #1 fan.
Right.
The #1 Jeff McNeil fan club is in Belgium, and I think that person listens. They've tweeted at us before. All right, let's read some more tweets.
Tangerine Terriers, by the way.
Tangerine Terriers?
Yep. Just wanted to shout her out. So it was great meeting you. What was it, last Thursday? Yeah, it was last Thursday. So, and let's go Mets. Thank you for listening.
Ari Rosenbaum, being there live when Lindor hit the grand slam to beat the Phillies. Yeah, we've talked about that in excess. That was, I felt like a flashbang went off. Like, it was so loud.
Well, a flashbang did go off.
At that moment.
Every home run, a flashbang went off.
A flashbang means like, you're like, whoa, right?
Well, no, I mean... Kind of. There's like also Call of Duty. You could throw like a.
That's what I'm talking about. Like
yeah. Well, no, but we also did like have a little bang that exploded, emanated a little light.
Is that also called a flashbang?
Yeah. Concussion blast, flashbang.
You learn new things.
That's why you listen to me at the
Apple. There was also a lot of smoke on a strikeout. Remember? That was pretty cool.
David Peterson got out of the first inning, game 5.
That was sick. I texted you. I was like, I want to see more of this. This is fun.
Glad you enjoyed yourself.
All right, let's see. Justin DeVellis, the pregame block party at Game 3 of the NLCS. Justin, I don't know if you know this, there was block parties at every game during the playoffs.
There were, and
before and after.
The postgame parties were crazy. I myself didn't get to go out there because we were recording.
Had to record,
but I saw videos, and it got turned. It was a time and a half. So I'm going to try to make it out to one of those next year. After some big postseason wins, because I had some FOMO not being out there.
Oh, me too. Next year we got to plan it more.
Why don't we record from the party?
We said that last year. It was just it was too hard to coordinate.
Yeah, there's some logistic challenges to that. It's a little noisy.
It's noisy, and also like we didn't realize like what the vibe of the post game concerts.
Do you think they can only play 8 p.m.?
If we're there, they probably would only be able to play 8 p.m.
Yeah.
All right. Brian from the Spanish booth. We love Brian. Brian, it's crazy. So the way the Spanish broadcast booth works is they're here for road games. So we see Brian a lot. Like when the Mets are on like an away Thursday game, we'll just see Brian at the office that day producing the Spanish broadcast call of the game. And Brian tweeted a GIF of Grimace.
GIF or GIF?
You're one of those guys, huh?
No, I'm kidding. Okay. I'm kidding. Yeah, Grimace. I mean, can't go wrong with Grimace.
Yeah, there's nothing more to look. Grimace was sick. It was fun. You weren't going to do a Thanksgiving without a mention to Grimace, right?
100%.
John, read me another one.
All right, let's see. Leo Kennedy, great listener of the show. Seymour Wiener video game 3. That's a good one.
That was the barrage of things, right?
Yeah. So we had Seymour. He sends the video, and then we dissolve to Justin, and then Justin had a special guest. Out around the corner comes the aforementioned Grimace, holding a pumpkin that I picked up at a Manhasset church a couple days earlier and waving a rally towel. And that was so awesome. It was just a nice homage, a nod to, the fun that we had.
Yeah. Because
this year was about fun, and this year was about, the goofiness that the guys rallied around and the fans rallied around and really kind of in a way got us to where we were. And, I'm glad that you guys enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun to be a part of all that great stuff.
Mets Jr. 6'9". We've mentioned him on the show before. Made those awesome pins, the Grimace pin, the Wario pin, all the UK pins. Made some really cool stickers. He tweeted, thankful. He tweeted, being able to proudly rock a new postseason patch Mets cap. And yeah, you know what? That's true because, look, some seasons, some playoff runs, it doesn't feel as good to remember those playoff runs. Like, if we're being 100% honest.
The 2022 postseason hat does not hit.
I'm not wearing that hat again. Yeah. But my 2024 playoff hat and my playoff stuff from 2024, that stuff is special to me. Like, I'm always going to have that stuff.
Yeah, it was a great postseason. And, it was a long postseason, which is what you want. You don't want a quick stop. You want that lasting, 2.5, 3, 4 weeks. Millage. So that's a great one. I can't read Zimbalta. What's that name? Zambita. Says Vientos and Winker. We talked a lot about Mark, but let's talk a little bit about Jesse Winker and the impact that he made. Day one of him being here, it was day two technically. We out in the press conference room read some mean tweets from Mets fans from back in May of 2019. He was incredible. He played along. Jesse Winker gets it.
Yeah.
Jesse Winker's a damn good baseball player. One of my favorite games of the whole season, regular season, obviously the postseason had incredible moments, but the August 21st game against the Orioles when Jesse hit the walk-off home run. And so I was directing that game, and I think I've told this story here on the podcast. That morning, he still hadn't homered as a Met.
Yeah.
And I texted my old boss from MLB Network. He asked me about something about the bullpen, doing the research packet, and he asked me about Winker, and I said, today would be a great day for him to hit his first home run. Obviously, he does, but so I'm in the director's seat.
You texted me.
Texted you that as well. I texted you that he was going to homer in Game 3 against the Phillies. Also,
sorry, mix it up.
So he hits the home run, and we dissolve to the home run graphic. Mets win, and I look back up, and the camera that's on him, he's like still not at first base, and I'm confused. And I'm like, did my brain skip? Like, what's going on here? And I didn't realize that he just like stopped dead in his tracks, chucked his helmet, screamed, "You not entertained at the dugout," just stayed there, and still had not proceeded to make his way around the bases. And it threw me off because, you kind of have a cadence with, when he gets to first base, you take this camera, when gets second, this camera, third, this camera, when he crosses the plate, that camera, cover the celebration. I was so confused because he just wasn't moving. But that day was so electric. That was such a massive win for the Mets to hit 2 walk-off homers within a 3-day span. And Jesse to just, be the guy that the Mets went out and got him to be.
And it was packed that game, too. That was a day game against the Orioles, and this place was a zoo because we've talked about this. It was one of the last games of the summer.
Yep. It was the last game of the summer. That was the end of that 9-game homestand.
And they were only home for a few games.
It was the only 9 home games that they were here for. So, but Jesse made such an impact. I mean, you think about Game 1 in Milwaukee, the big triple. Game 3 in Milwaukee with the insurance run. He walks, steals second base with a back that was tightening up on him, as we came to find out. Scores on the Starling Marte single, another helmet slam. He was great. He really was. So what a move. Great memories, great moments. Thanks for the tweet.
Another tweet that came in later. Hector in Washington Heights. You're gonna love this one.
Okay.
Thankful for many memories this season. Number 1 has to be meeting and having a catch with Sean Manaea in Central Park over the All-Star break.
That's a really unique experience. Yeah, Sean was trying to stay loose, and he's talked about that too. When he talked about New York and loving New York, and just that's the kind of thing you could do in the city. It's awesome.
That Sean Manaea is just a wild Sean Manaea could appear.
Here's a tweet that I like.
Okay,
from Big Head Doggo. Responding to Vito, the comma goes inside of the quotation mark. You are correct. Grammar police is out.
Yeah.
I'm a big, if you get that one, if you put the punctuation inside the quotation, you know what you're doing.
I didn't take that person seriously because their profile picture's a dog, and I don't talk to dogs.
Yeah,
I only talk to turkeys.
Big Head Doggo.
I only talk to humans. I only talk to humans and turkeys. I don't talk to dogs. All right, next one. Big friend of the show, Amanda Rose, the best home run of the postseason. Pete, Milwaukee. She posted the GIF, Pete doing the chef's kiss.
Vito doesn't agree with me still that was the best.
No, I would agree. The best home run of the postseason. Yeah. I would agree. The best home run of the postseason by far.
Well, what else we got here? We got J-Mac. J-Mac was in person for both the Lindor and the Alonso. Maybe he's probably a great arbiter. He was on the ground for both of those moments. So I was in Milwaukee the second to last, what was supposed to be the second to last day of the regular season, the Saturday night when the Mets got 2 hit by the Brewers. Tobias Myers shoves. Things not looking good. Obviously, the Mets got a little help from the Padres that night, beating the Diamondbacks. They went on Sunday thanks to David Peterson, his heroics, his incredible end to the season. Really just a great total 2024. But I remember sitting in the broadcast booth where I was in Milwaukee and thinking to myself, being in enemy territory and experiencing this is awful. And just like how bad it is to be on the road when your team, it's not going well for your team. I can't imagine what it must have been like. And I saw some videos of the Pete home run at American Life Family Field, whatever it's called in Milwaukee now. I call it Miller still.
It's crazy that it's not.
I know.
They're called the Brewers.
I know. But anyway,
call them the Milwaukee.
They're not the insurance guys.
Yeah, call them the Milwaukee insurance arbitrators if you want to just go by that.
The Milwaukee actuaries. But see, I am funny. This guy said I wasn't funny a couple on the live stream. But to be in the park, like how quiet it gets, and when you're the visiting fan and you get to just be so obnoxious and just live your best life and enjoy that moment to the fullest, that must be so cool. I unfortunately was there for one of the lows on that end of season road trip the Mets went on, but J-Mac was there. J-Mac's a great fan. We talked about how he drove the OMG sign out to Pittsburgh, got the guys a new one, some great wins on
the pitcher's OMG sign.
The pitcher's OMG sign. So
a lot of special and just a lot of what you've seen in this is we've had a few different tweets of like fans being involved with the storyline of the season.
Yes.
And that's what made this season so special. All right, we have 2 tweets left.
Okay.
One of them, Jess at our bestie Hesty, Nimmo crying when making it to the postseason. That picture is one of those iconic pictures we're going to remember from 2024. It's Brandon Nimmo standing, like crying and looking up.
Oh, after they beat Philly.
After they beat Philly with the big board saying NLCS bound. At that point, it actually might have been on the big board. It might have been him in front of himself crying.
Yes, it was.
But no, that was an incredible one. That night, look, that was special for us. We've said it a ton of times. We don't have to keep saying it, but we were on the field. It was sick. A moment I'll never forget. Ryan Caccioli gave us some really cool plaques with dirt from that game, so just sick.
Yeah, and obviously Mets fans love Brandon Nimmo, drafted by the Mets, homegrown. And let's not forget, he was a Warrior playing with that very, very painful foot injury that he played through in the postseason. Fasciitis, that's right, doctor. But
isn't it fasciitis?
No, it's fasciitis.
I thought it was fasciitis.
You also think the comma goes outside the quotes.
No, it was a mistake.
Anyway, that was special. I mean, Brandon cutting his little promos in the post-game interviews with Steve Gelbs.
Oh, that was sick.
Talking to fans, saying how important their presence and their energy in the stadium is. That so true. It was really a special month for all of us, but for Brandon to have been part of some highs and some lows with this organization, for all of us to experience that here for the first time, that's the kicker. And to do it against the Phillies, by the way.
Yeah.
A team right down the turnpike that we don't like them, they don't like us. And, obviously they were one of the best teams in baseball this season. The Mets beat them in 4. That was really special as well. So, I mean, it was just...
He's probably tied or a leader for most playoff series as a Met, right? With 3? With most playoff appearances as a Met.
Well, I mean, Edgardo Alfonso. The guys on the 99-2000 teams.
No, you're right.
Yeah, because back in the day, it was just NLCS and World Series. There was no wild... Now there's 3 wild card games.
But he has 3.
3 what? Postseasons?
3 postseasons. 16.
I don't think he played in that game.
But he was there. He was on the roster, wasn't he?
I don't know. I mean, Mad Bum pitched, so the Mets tried to stack the righties.
Well, I know. I mean, it was a 1-game. That was the 1-game playoff, so it's a different situation.
Yeah, 2022, he played in the 3 games, and then he played.
Played in here.
Fonzie holds the team records for just about everything postseason wise.
But this is going to be October is going to be normal for this team going forward. That's what the Mets fans should believe. And we got one last tweet, and that is from Tovarish SR on Twitter, and they tweeted Lindor. That's it. That's the tweet.
Yeah, I think we covered that one off before when we were going through our list. I think that's the best one to end on because this season really
Francisco Lindor, a fan tweeting about him. It's the most special connection we saw this year.
We're lucky to have him.
Yeah.
We really are. You know, the Mets struck gold when they made that trade, a great trade. January 7th, 2021 was a great day in Mets history. I'll never forget where I was when I saw the news of the trade. You know, you had those moments in season, obviously, when you celebrate a big moment, a big win. You also had those moments in the off season as well. I felt that way when the Mets got Johan. I felt that way when the Mets made this trade, where I was screaming with excitement, picked my dog up. He didn't enjoy it at all.
How's Cooper doing? You don't talk about Cooper much anymore.
He's chilling. I talk about him.
Not at all.
That's not true.
You used to talk about Cooper every day.
No,
Cooper,
I talk about him.
yield.
But, you know, that was a seminal moment. It was the first real splash that Steve Cohen and Alex Cohen made as owners of the New York Mets, bringing Francisco here. And obviously there was the pending question. He's on the last year of his deal. Will Francisco be a lifelong Met, or will he be here for 1 year and become a free agent, like we might be seeing another circumstance play out right before our very eyes? But the night before what was supposed to be opening day, because if you remember, opening day in D.C. got canceled because of a COVID outbreak in the Nationals pitching staff.
Did I ever tell you about that day that my wife I was so excited for baseball to come back, and she planned a surprise party for she invited it was still COVID time, so she only invited 5 people, but she invited 5 people, and she put up balloons and had all these Mets things up, and she was gonna have an opening day watch party.
Morning of game got banged,
and then literally she'd done all of that, and then by the time she was done, game got banged, and then she just sent me a picture and was like, "I'm so sorry, this was waiting for you."
A little COVID outbreak, but yeah, you know, the Mets get the extension done, and they make Francisco a Met for life. And as we said a little while ago, he has become the leader of this team in every which way possible. And you know, last time I'm going to say it on this episode, we're so lucky to have him.
Yeah. Well, we're so lucky to also have you guys as listeners.
Great
Thank
transition.
you so much.
I was just thinking that.
So thankful for you guys tuning into this podcast. We had a great first year doing the show with you guys. There's still another month and a half to go of this year, 2024. It's been a pleasure doing this show with you and doing the show for you guys. We hope you've enjoyed it so far. We have a lot more coming. We have a lot more content for you guys that we will be creating. And it's been special.
It has been. Look, you know, you and I, we started doing this in February. You know, there's a lot of Mets podcasts out there.
A lot.
There are a lot of great Mets podcasts, by the way. And, you know I listen to a lot of them. You listen to a lot of them as well. So, you know, you guys giving us the chance, you know, bringing us into your day, whether it's a 20-minute recap episode or an hour of us rambling about absolutely nothing. You know, we try to have fun here. Yeah. We try to be informative. We try to be a mix of a lot of things. We obviously, you know, bring you guys closer to the players you root for and the manager and what goes on here at Citi Field, a bit of a behind-the-scenes look. And I think that as the year has gone by, more people gave us a shot, tried us out, and we appreciate that because we know that you only, you know, we all have 24 hours in a day, and we could only spend our time doing so many different things. So, you know, without you guys, obviously, this wouldn't be possible. And, you know, we're like you guys. That's the thing. We are fans as well. We love the Mets.
I throw stuff at my TV.
I don't do that, but
I get mad. I screw my TV.
Yeah, maybe a little yelling here.
I don't throw stuff at my TV because I don't want to break my TV, but I do yell at my TV as if my TV could hear me.
Maybe it can. I mean, it probably can. It's smart TV.
I get angry. We all get angry.
Yeah, of course.
We're passionate.
We all have takes, opinions, yada yada yada.
You know what's funny? I think because here we can't be loud, fans at games.
You overcompensate at home.
At home, I'm everything that I want to be I want to be cheering and screaming and going off. That's me at home when I'm watching a game.
Yeah, Ala must love that.
No, she does not. She's been very clear about how I need to tone it down. But look, guys, thank you so much for tuning in all of 2024. We got more coming.
Is this camera? Because I go back, I watch the tape, and I'm like, okay, which camera should I look at? So this one I've been looking at my single a lot because you take the single a lot.
I mainly lean on single.
You never take the wide. You never take, and I'm always looking at it, and you never take it.
Because I like the singles more.
Yeah, so that's why in this episode, you guys will see I was looking at the singles. Can I talk about the movies real quick?
Dude, this episode's going on close to an hour.
I went to the movies.
Quick.
Notoriously, I don't go to the movies. I haven't been to the movies since 2013.
And you complained about it for 2 weeks leading up to it, saying that you didn't even know if you really wanted to go.
Well, that's because I found out that Wicked was only the first half of the show. So now I have a year-long cliffhanger.
And the whole part one is longer than the Broadway musical itself.
I know, which I'm probably going to just go see the show in January.
You got to.
Great movie. I've never been in a theater with the layback seat.
Yeah, because you haven't been in the movies since 92,
Since
apparently.
2013, literally.
Is that the last time you went to a movie theater?
Yeah, I did the math.
The last time you went to a movie theater was 2013? John, that's 11 years ago?
Yeah.
That's bananas.
Yeah. I saw Silver Linings Playbook with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
And I also saw The Bling Ring. I don't know if that was before or after Silver Line. Oh, I also saw 42. When did that come out? I was at college. I was at IU when that was out.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, good experience. Got myself a little, not caramel, kettle corn.
Yeah.
Nice low calorie option for the popcorn instead of getting all that butter and salt. Who needs it? Yeah. Good time. Good time.
You liked Wicked?
I did. Again, only half the show. So like there's still half of the soundtrack I haven't been exposed to.
Yeah. But I
you
heard
know,
it's great.
Popular.
I'm seeing it next
You're
week.
gonna
Stop.
be popular.
I'm seeing it next week.
That's good, right?
Actually, I'm seeing it Sunday. I don't know what I'm saying next
Sunday.
week. Yeah.
The Jets play. What do you mean?
It rocks not caring about football anymore. All right, guys, follow this podcast on Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm on Twitter at Vito F. Khaleesi, John at JMB9191. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you here at the Apple.